There we go.
You ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to call the second monthly meeting of the Board of Trustees to order. And the time is 5:03.
Calling the roll, Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
Mr. Genowine is absent. Mr. Crandall.
Here.
And Mr. Simcoe is absent.
All right, pledge allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is approval of the minutes of our January 5th meeting. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Calling the roll, Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes. John, are there any additions or deletions to?
I have none.
Anybody signed in to speak?
Nope, nobody signed in.
Zoning Department. Darrell?
Good evening.
Evening.
We have before you the monthly report for the month of December, Zoning Department. We had 25 permits for the month at an estimated value of $6.25 million. We finished the year with 474 permits for the year and just over $64 million in estimated value. Pretty close to where we were last year on estimated value. On the single-family dwelling permits, we had 98 for the year. It was a 6.6% increase and $26.1 million in estimated value. That was also a 6% increase. On zoning complaints, for the month of December, we had 10, and year-to-date, 212, and that represents a just under 37% increase on the year. For board meetings, the BZA had 5 items on their agenda for their December meeting. You can read those over if you like. I won't go into detail on them. The Zoning Commission did not have a meeting. There was no agenda, and there was no project plan review for December. Just some items of note here. Graphs are always fun. At least they're fun for me to do. So that one there represents the 20 years of single-family dwelling permits for the township, reflecting how we keep working our way out of the recession there, where we bottomed out in 2009 with 28 permits, and we had 98 for last year. The following page is the total number of permits. Somewhat reflects the single-family dwelling ones graph, and you can see we're on the rise with that one as well. And then the last graph, the exciting one, has both of them. The top line representing the total permits for the past 20 years. The bottom one is the single-family dwelling permits. Just a couple other little items I want to note that our BZA had a busy year. It was the busiest year since 2005. They had 28 cases this year. And as far as complaints, it was also the busiest year since 2011 with the 224 complaints. That's all I have for the monthly report. The next item I have is we discussed about the conditional use, having the Lucas County Plan Commission review it. I've sent on to you what I'm proposing the Lucas County Plan Commission look at as an amendment to Article 25, conditional use. It's, Scott, if you could tab down a little bit to that section 2502. It's the highlighted section. Yeah, right there. There's nothing to vote on. It'll eventually come before the trustees as it goes through the amendment process, but I just wanted to bring this before the trustees if there was any comments or questions on it. Basically what it does is it brings any conditional use request before the Lucas County Plan Commission prior to our Board of Zoning Appeals hearing it, with the exception of a home occupation conditional use request.
Darrell, is that how the other townships are doing it? They've gone to the county for their pre-approval? Pre-denial?
Some of them do, some don't.
So what was the thought by doing this?
It just adds another level on the more intensive conditional use request, such as the one that was on her road a few months ago. This just gives it another set of eyes looking at it, a meeting prior to ours.
Is your board they think this is a good idea?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
You know, while I see it's an additional step, I think it's a good step, because we're getting the county's viewpoint.
Sure.
I don't know, Darrell, we don't always follow it, I'm sure, but I would say the majority of the time we do. It is an additional step, though, but I think it's a good step, especially considering that was a pretty major conditional use on her road. Certainly had the strong representation from the citizens, so it seems to me to be a good idea. How much time do we have to look at the wording, Darrell?
As much time as you want, I mean,
No, but I think, what, a week or something if we have any issues?
Yeah, I went through it.
I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
John not being here, why don't we say a week or something before you proceed with it?
yeah, that's fine. And then it'll just go through the amendment process. The Lucas County Plan Commission will hear it, and then our zoning commission, and then...
Do you want formal
Final.
action tonight, or do you just...
No, it's just an FYI.
Okay, and it's supposed to be on the agenda for the next meeting, right?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
No, that was something else that we were going to have
Okay.
tonight.
Great. Thanks, Darrell.
Yeah, that's all I have.
John, will you check with Mr. Genuine and see how the wording looks to him?
Okay.
Thank you.
One more thing on zoning, I don't know if you saw the article in the Blade about the housing out here in the township. It was a very positive article.
Yes, I did see.
Road Department, Rob, do you have anything for the trustees? Trustees, do you have anything for Rob? I see that they brought in a bunch of Christmas trees over the weekend. Okay. I was shocked to see all those Christmas trees. Yeah. Next up is the fire department with their monthly report. Chief Kowalski.
Good evening. You have in front of you the December report. As always, the first 2 pages are run volume and run numbers. We continue to just see a slight increase in our run volume. Page 4, the mutual aid incidents, something that I know that you're interested on. We had one request to Toledo for an ambulance. Springfield, we requested transports 3 times, and from Richfield, we requested transports 4 times. So it's not as dramatic as we had in November, but we're still having to request from other municipalities. My plan this Friday, the 22nd, is to place the transport unit in service, ready to go, ready to respond. Again, it's just to augment the private entities, so if the other companies are not in service in our area, then we will go ahead and put our unit in service. Page 6, community risk reduction. We did 3 fire school drills, fire drills at the schools, which we have to continue to do all during the year. We did install a smoke detector for a hearing impaired family that we received from the State Fire Marshal's office. Deputy Chief Freilich had 10 plan reviews, 2 license inspections, and 8 final acceptance tests for either a sprinkler or alarm system. Fire crews completed 173 inspections, pretty much the end of the year, finishing up their re-inspects and inspections. And then we did do a walkthrough of the 5700 Monroe Street, the new ProMedica Plaza, huge building out there. Took all our crews through it. They have some unique ventilation systems in that building, so if there is a fire in the building, everything shuts down, and there's huge fans on the roof that we can draw the smoke to the center of the building and out in case there would be something that was involved in that building. So it's a different type of system. December, we didn't have any CE for our paramedics, so there was no CE sessions, but our paramedics and firefighters went out to the training tower because we had some nice weather, and we had 3 candidates that made it through their training. Their mini fire school went through a live burn sessions with no difficulties whatsoever. We were happy. We'll do a badge pinning probably in February. Greg Shadler, Jamie Sesak, and Kurt Baumgartner all are on shift now. Each one of them are on a different shift, 24 hours. They started last Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and they're doing very well. Our overtime, page 9, we had 11 hours in fire and EMS run holdovers. Training, we had 52 hours of training overtime, and staffing levels are down to 175 for supplementing the crews, daily staffing levels. Page 10, this is a nice note we got from a resident who, the run was actually on March 15th, but she just wanted to send us a note. Thank you. She got to celebrate Christmas with her family, and she was still very appreciative of that. She was in cardiac arrest when the crews got there, and we saved her. The next page is a STEMI. I explained this before. ST elevation in a 12-lead EKG means myocardial infarction. This is a 68-year-old male that our medics and our first responders ran on. They took him directly to the hospital, went into this cath lab. He ended up receiving 6 stents, which is quite a few. They had quite a few blockage, and that turned out very well. Doctor was very pleased. And the last page is just, again, a thank you note from a satisfied customer that they were pleased with our service. And that's all I have, unless you have something for me.
Chief, have we talked to EMS about using the transport unit to back up their unit when it's in service?
Yes.
We've worked that out with
I've had conversations with Lucas County EMS that we would be able to use our unit as a backup to the life squad if there were no life squads available, or if there was a life squad that was going to be delayed. We have outfitted our BLS transport with ALS equipment, and we'd be able to take it, an advanced life support patient to the hospital with no problems. And they are aware of that.
Good.
Here's a good one. Last Tuesday, we're at the Arbor Hills basketball game.
Yes, sir. I heard about this.
My son's friend is on the basketball team, goes up for a layup, breaks his collarbone.
Oh,
So fire department showed up, did a great job. Within the next 5 minutes, another play ensues, and the kid on the other team breaks his wrist in half. So while the fire department was there taking care of one of our Arbor Hills kids, they just walked about 10 yards away and helped this kid with a broken wrist. How many of these guys have ever had something like that in their life, all within the same minute?
Same thing, yeah.
And Chris and I goes, hey, what kind of operation you guys running here for kids basketball?
Yeah.
So anyways, great. You guys did good.
I feel
Did
good.
great.
I feel good about my kids playing hockey. Basketball is too dangerous.
Exactly.
Thanks,
Chief.
Yep.
That must be something to hit his collarbone on the rim in grade school.
Yeah.
Pretty tall.
Yeah. And next up is the police department monthly report and a resolution, right? Good evening. You have before you the monthly report. On page 2, you'll see the totals. Since it's year end, it's important to note the trends and such. You'll see in most of the categories, we're pretty close to where we've been before. We're up considerably in thefts, up considerably in identity theft, which is a trend nationwide. That's going to continue to trend upward, I'm sure. And in all of our reports, we're up some too. But the accident reports were down a little bit, and you can see the citations and such are pretty close to the same. Calls for service were down a little over 1,000. Page 3, just a chart, end of the year chart with, so you can see the trending. Calls for service, we continue to trend down. General offense report, which is any kind of criminal activity, is up somewhat.
Accident reports, very, very slightly down. Citations were pretty much the same. Page 4, you'll see that's the total for our expenses that we incurred for transporting, assisting the city. You can see it's not a great amount, which is a good thing. Page 5, you'll see our detectives' caseload stats. Again, I won't read all the numbers to you. The right column is the one that you want to pay attention to, the bold print. Page 6, not a whole lot of activity in the DEA task force. They didn't seize a ton of money, which is probably good with that temporary thing by the federal government where we're not going to get funds for a bit that I've emailed you on. Page 7, with the community affairs, you can see that we, along with the fire department, participated in Walmart Shop with a Hero, Meyer Shop with a Hero in December. We had a Whiteford Elementary School DARE graduation. Speed trailer, as is the case in the winter. We had no calls requesting that. Plus, we don't want to put that out when there's snow and ice on the ground anyway. We don't want to get it destroyed. Page 8, you'll just see little finances as far as just some funds we received, and then the Sylvania Municipal Court Revenue Report of funds received. Page 9, you'll see our overtime for the month of December. We tend to be up a little bit in overtime at the end of the year as people try to use their accumulated leave at the end of the year so as not to lose anything. And then one thing that one thing I'll just add here that didn't make the monthly report is the totals for our administrative sergeant filing charges for afternoons and midnights was 381 charges on 231 suspects. And that represents a huge savings in overtime with having that administrative sergeant file those charges. The only ones that are filing charges, the road officers, are the ones that are working days where they can file while they're actually on duty. And that's it for my monthly report. If you have any questions or anything.
I don't have any. You?
No, I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Thanks.
Good. Just moving on real quickly, I'd like to offer Resolution 16-014 to hire one dispatcher. And that's a replacement for the one that we lost last year.
I'll offer Resolution 16014 to hire a dispatcher.
Second.
Calling the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate the report.
That is a tremendous savings when we have the administrative sergeant who is working, going over and filing the charges, as opposed to having an off-duty officer come in and file the charges, which was the old way. We found out that the law permits the administrative sergeant to go over and file the charges, so there's tremendous savings there. Next up is under the administrator, and I'm going to turn it over to Susan as a housekeeping measure.
Yeah, you have before you Resolution 1615. What this is every 10 years, the IRS requires us to update and restate our 457 plan. So that's what this document is. It's just basically a housekeeping item.
No changes, right?
Consistent with the current policy. Gives us a little bit more flexibility than what we had before, but other than that, it's the same document, just restated to IRS guidelines.
I'll offer Resolution 16.015 to adopt restatement of Sylvania Township Plan.
Second.
Calling the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
And we'll see you in 10 years to update it.
You might see Mahoney.
Any open discussion? Nobody signed in from the public. Do the trustees have any?
The only thing I wanted to let Neil know, and would you call John and let him know? We're going to try to do an annual report this year.
That's a good idea.
I think the administrators,
Remember I talked to you?
department heads will be putting that together. And we'll have that for the next meeting, I think, won't we, John? so that each trustee can take a look at it.
We'll try. I'm going to be setting a meeting up
Yeah,
with the staff to,
I think we can pull that together. And it'll be a start. We may embellish on it the following year, but we really have the monthly report, so it's just a matter of
It's a great idea.
compiling everything.
Great.
And you'll let Mr. Genuine know?
yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Motion for adjournment. I'll make a motion to adjourn at 5:22.
Second.
Calling the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
All right. Hey, husbands.